What is going on, beautiful people? I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we are going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Northglenn, Colorado. And hey, if this is your first time to the channel and you're looking to move to Denver, or you're just kind of thinking about it and you'd like to know a little bit more about Denver or some of the surrounding areas like Northglenn, then make sure and hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell icon for notifications. That way you can be the first to know when I come out with a new video, and you can be the first to learn about the Denver market and what's going on. And if you didn't already know, my name is Michael, and I get people reaching out all the time looking to make a move to Denver or some of the surrounding areas, and they just need a little bit of help, a little bit of guidance, and that's what I'm here for. So if that's you, whether it's in a week, 10 weeks, a year, 5 years, whatever it may be, feel free to reach out. My contact info is below. I'm more than happy to talk with you, sit down, maybe have a chat just about what your goals are and what you need to do and how I can help you achieve that. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So if you aren't familiar with Northglenn, Colorado, you probably wouldn't be alone. Not a whole lot of people know about it. It's kind of a tiny little city in between Thornton, Colorado. It kind of surrounds it. It has a population of about 38,000 people, so relatively small. I actually lived there for about a year, maybe 4 years ago, give or take, and I loved it. It's got a really unique feeling to it because you feel secluded, but you're also in the thick of everything. So kind of hard to explain without actually living there, but it's got a nice feel, and it's its own little spot in the middle of all this craziness going on. But let's get right into the pros. The first thing is how affordable it is. The single family home over there, median price is about $485,000, which is one of the cheapest areas in the entirety of Colorado. Now, the reason for that, homes are a little bit older over there. So, just a little bit older of an area. The other thing is there's not a whole lot of homes that get on the market. There was about 300 home sales last year. So not a whole lot of turnover. And a lot of the residents that live there have lived there for quite some time. So these people, they get their roots in and they don't leave, which isn't a bad thing. There's just not a whole lot of homes that come to market. And one of the reasons why, prices don't go all over the place because they just don't have a lot to sell there. Another nice thing about Northglenn is it's really close to Denver, and you just hop on I-25, downtown Colorado, 15-20 minutes maybe if it's a little bit busy, maybe 25, but you are really close to kind of like the north side of Denver. So if you're trying to get anywhere on the north part of Denver, you're not very far. Now if you're commuting all the way down to the south side, it might be a little bit further of a commute, but if you're trying to get to anywhere that it's pretty accessible. Northglenn's kind of right on the highway, so it's not hard to get on the highway and just zip on down wherever you need to go. The next thing I'll talk about is just the feel of Northglenn itself. It has a small town feel that's big, if that makes any sense whatsoever. You have all the city all around you, but for some reason Northglenn itself seems like there's walls all around it, and it just seems like it's own little community, and it has a little smaller homey feel to it. Hard to explain, but I talked to a lot of people from Northglenn and they kind of agree, and I think part of it is because a lot of the residents have been there for so long, so it's a very community area, and people just kind of really take that in, and that just gives it that small town feel. Another really nice thing about Northglenn is that pretty much has all the shopping that you need. When we lived there, I'm pretty sure the entire time we lived there, we did all our shopping within about a mile of our house. There was, I think, 2 Walmarts within a mile. There was a Sam's Club. There was, I think there's a Target real close. Lots of shopping and plenty of restaurants too. So you have pizza places, takeout, whatever you could think of is up there. So you don't have to go far for either. So you have plenty of options. You have your chain restaurants, you have your family-owned restaurants, all that stuff, and you never really run out of options. We lived there we were only there for a year, but we probably tried a couple dozen different places, and we didn't even scratch the surface of what's there. Another really cool thing about Northglenn is there's a very nice trail system that just kind of goes all throughout. And I don't know if it's intentional, but it's just really nice to be able to go out and these trails just lead you all over the place. It's really easy to get lost because they just kind of go everywhere, but you are gonna have all sorts of walking trails. Just take your dog out for a walk, maybe go for a bike ride, and just kind of stay busy. There's dog parks, there's regular parks. So if you're just trying to get outside maybe for a couple hours, plenty of places to go, and you're gonna have plenty of options, and they're all usually really clean, and it's just a nice, well-maintained area. You're also surrounded by Thornton, so you're not far from any of the parks in Thornton. So if you want a little bit change of things, you can just head on over. It's not a far drive at all. Another great thing about Northglenn, and it's kind of a couple things, is that because it's all so condensed and tight, and people really aren't coming to Northglenn for anything specific. It's really just the people in Northglenn. The traffic in Northglenn alone is not that bad. So if you're just trying to get to the grocery store, you're not going to run into a lot of traffic because a lot of people aren't going through Northglenn. Another nice thing is because it's all condensed, it's really easy to walk to places. I remember multiple times we would walk to Village Inn and get breakfast because it was just right there. It wasn't too hard. It wasn't a big thing. You just kind of walk up the road. It was maybe half a mile or so, not even, and just nice, especially on a nice sunny day and you have nothing else to do. So, just enjoy some of the Colorado sun and take a walk, and you can do that kind of pretty much all the way up and down Northglenn. All right, so let's get into the cons. So like I said, most of the homes are a little bit older, and they're on the older side. So one of the consequences of that is you can have a little bit more maintenance. So it's not as many new builds available, so you don't have the option to kind of get something new. There are some up there, but it's not as common as you'd see in some of the other areas around Denver. But you get in a home, you're gonna probably have a little bit more problems than you would with something a little bit newer. You might have to do a little bit more maintenance on the furnace, the sewer, stuff like that. So just something to keep an eye on when you get a place out there. Just kind of make sure you're changing out the air filters, all that seasonal maintenance stuff, just to kind of keep everything as nice and squeaky clean as possible, just because it's going to be a little bit more rough when it comes time to change things out. It's going to come a little bit sooner than some of the other areas around Denver. The next con I'll say is you're not super close to the mountains. You hop on I-25, go south, and then go west. Probably gonna take you about an hour, maybe a little bit less, depending on the traffic and when you go. But if you're trying to go to the mountains often, or it's one of the things, maybe you work up in the mountains, you ski or snowboard a lot, probably not a great place for you, just because that's gonna be an hour and a half just to get to the mountains, and then let alone whatever you have to go after that, and then on the way back too. So especially if you hit traffic, it's not very easy to get to the mountains. And one of the best things about Colorado is the mountains. So if you are trying to get there and you have a hard time because of where you're at, it's not the greatest. The next thing I'll say is there's not as much nightlife as you might expect in Denver, so to speak, just because it's a little smaller town. You're not gonna have as many things going on. It doesn't make sense to put huge nightlife entertainment places. It's just not something Northglenn has. And there's not a whole lot around either, even in Thornton. You have to go south a little bit to get to Denver. So if you're someone that doesn't go out all the time and just very occasionally, maybe that's not the worst thing. Or maybe you never go out, doesn't even bother you. You can just kind of not even worry about that one. But if you're someone that's trying to go out 2-3 times a week, maybe Northglenn might be a little bit far, especially if the drive home at the end of the night, or get an Uber, whatever means you get home. It's a little bit further away from that stuff, so just one of the things to consider. And the last thing I'll say is, because it's a smaller town, just not as many job opportunities. Now, you're not too far from Denver, so if you have to commute, not a big deal. But if you're looking to, get to Northglenn and find a job in Northglenn, you might not have as many options as you would if you just kind of expanded to the entirety of Denver, or even just like Thornton around you. So I guess if you're working remotely, it doesn't really matter, and Northglenn would be a great place for you. But just something to consider if you're moving here and you're looking for a job very local, you don't want to commute very far, maybe Northglenn might not be the best spot, just because you're not gonna have a whole lot of options. So like I said, there's plenty of positives, plenty of negatives to living in Northglenn. I loved living there when I was there. It was, nice, very quiet where we lived, and I enjoyed it. It seemed like a very nice area. We had a great time. So if you're in the area, I recommend just kind of stopping through if you even think it might be for you. Just a nice area. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this quick video on Northglenn. Hopefully you learned a little bit. Maybe you just learned of Northglenn. Maybe you never heard of it before, and now you're like, oh, maybe that place sounds pretty good. But yeah, hope you liked it, learned something. If you did, hit the like button down below. And don't forget, if you are planning on moving out here, or just even thinking about it, you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is below. I am more than happy to answer any questions you have and just make whatever move as smooth as possible. But with all that being said, I will see you guys next time.